So here we are at the World Autism Summit with Stephen Sicoli, and we are so happy to have him here. And I'd like to take the time to introduce him. Stephen Sicoli is a compassionate leader in a fast-growing financial firm, prioritizing education and acceptance, featured in the Autism in Lockdown, which is published by Future Horizons. He advocates for individuals with disabilities. As president of 2 community boards in Vimy, Alberta, Canada, he fosters togetherness and values financial resilience, some things we all really need. Growing up in a family of 6 with 2 brothers having special needs, including autism, he brings unparalleled patience and understanding in working with the autism spectrum. Recently joining Autism Alberta, he strives to improve access to government programs and proper financial management for disability. Stephen, welcome. You bring so much value to autism, and helping people with finances is such an important thing in this world today.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Tell me, what inspired you to be part of the World Autism Summit?
Fantastic. Well, it really just off the bat, it sounded like a really good opportunity to speak on financial literacy, help individuals with autism just take control of their lives and live a more fulfilling and fruitful life. I find a lot of the time when you're dealing with finances and you're dealing with neurodivergence or disabilities, that it's just an extra layer on top of things. And there are people that are not on the spectrum that are having difficulties with their finances. So yeah. I think that having that extra layer of complication means we need to give even more support.
Yeah, we have to jump through a lot of hoops, don't we?
100%. But luckily, there are some extra supports there as well, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you want to make a big impact in the world of autism?
Well, really just show
everything,
Yeah, really, I'd say the biggest impact I'd like to make is just showing people that it's possible, like that, the world isn't out to get you, that you can retire one day, that you can own a house. I know one of the biggest things that I've found with with my generation is there's this defeatist attitude of, oh, that's easy for you to say because you're a boomer and you guys bought your houses in the 50s and 40s and whatever, and houses pricings were so low, and you can afford a house. I'm never going to have a house. I'm going to rent for the rest of my life, and it's always going to be terrible until I die. So really just helping fix that mindset and showing people that with proper financial management and a little bit of a mindset shift, that you can actually get financially free, live the life of your dreams, and actually, move forward in life.
Well, do you think people all over the world are having the same problems?
I don't know about all over the world. I haven't been all over the
I
world.
know, but this is a global summit, so I'm wondering if you thought about that, or you have any insight into that, or what you think.
Well, so I know, at least for North America here, that seems to be the general narrative kind of going out there. I'd say it's probably mirrored in the UK and like European countries. I can't really speak towards any of the countries that speak languages other than English, because
I know
the one, but from what I see, at least on social media and the news and just kind of out there, there's that idea that it's never going to happen for me, like yeah. So,
well, what is your biggest why you do what you do?
I think I kind of touched on it, really, just the idea that there's that really harmful notion of kind of nihilism, where we're always thinking about what else we need to consume, what else we need to buy, how we're all just super incomplete and need external validation to actually grow as a human. But really everything that we need is already within ourselves. It's just about unlocking that untapped potential. So yeah, really just helping people understand their unique gifts, talents, specialties, what they can do, and then seeing what areas that I can help out with, and I think just because finances are pretty much the cornerstone for really everything these days. Like, I'd love to say we live in a world where money is not an object and you can do whatever you want without worrying about finance. it is a very big means to an end. If you
Mhm.
buy a house, if you need somewhere to live, you need some food, you need some shelter, you need clothing, any of these things, finances are going to play a big role. So I see that as really a great place to start, when building people up, is helping them with that financial aspect.
I know you mentioned that you were featured in Autism in Lockdown. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What you wrote
Yeah.
about?
So yeah, I had the opportunity to write in a little bit of like a financial piece, or like a 5 steps to kind of curing your financial ailments.
Yes.
And really, it doesn't come. It's not like crazy stock tips or anything like that. It's not like, you got to buy this at this time and buy, because really, like, timing the market is not. It's not something even the best traders can do. It's less about timing the market and more about time in the market. Just
Oh.
staying consistent in your goals, and having goals. Like, you would be surprised by how many people I talk to that are my age or younger, that when the topic of goals comes up, they're like, what do you mean goals? Like, I'm just trying to get through today. I don't have any big goals for the future. So, sitting down as a family, discussing the things that you want to achieve, the things
Mhm.
that you guys want to, whether it's trips or whether it's buying material possessions or just having that financial stability. When everyone is a part of that discussion, it makes it a lot easier to achieve. One of the big reasons why I think most financial planners, or anyone in this industry, talks about goals is because if you have a finish line, you're much more likely to get there, right? If you start a race and the finish line's over here and you start running in that direction, it's not very likely that you're going to make it to the finish line. So when you go, hey, this is where I want to go, this is where I am, you may not have all the tools, you may not have all of the know-how to get there, but at least you know which direction you want to move in. And maybe it's slow at first, but through practice and through just working through life, you'll kind of speed up and get closer and closer to your goal.
At least you know you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you might get there.
Yeah, 100%, right? If you know where you're going, and it's not saying that you're gonna for sure make it to whatever goal you have, right? Hey, I want to be a billionaire, and I start working on that path, and I maybe become a millionaire, but not a billionaire. It's not like you failed. It's kind of like the age-old saying, if you shoot for the stars, at least you'll end on the moon, right? So
Hmm.
it's not that you will make it to that goal, but you're going to be a heck of a lot further along than if you were to be running in the opposite direction.
Like I've heard failing forward.
Yeah, failing forward. That's
Failing
that's
forward.
100%, right?
At least you're doing something, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you know, okay, how can we set up systems for success in partnership relationships?
Yeah, so I think one of the big tools that's come along in the last couple of years that everyone can use for partnerships, collaboration, is the internet, right? We
Mhm.
all are able to connect wirelessly within a second, like you and I today, right? We're connecting from miles, kilometers away, and we can do this in a heartbeat, and share our ideas, collaborate, and then also see what different resources are available that we can connect each other to. So and I think more than just like connecting on Facebook or Twitter and having these little 2-second blurbs and
Right.
texts. I don't know. I feel like I was born a generation too late. I'm very old school in the fact that I think person to person connection is what it's all about. It's not about because one thing I find on social media specifically is I push my narrative, you push your narrative. If our narratives differ, then I'm just going to root in my heels and just disagree even harder.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like you're talking at somebody, not talking with somebody.
100%.
It's like human to human relationships are so important. And I think we've lost that connectivity, a lot. And that's what I'm trying to build back with this World Autism Summit, because so many people are struggling everywhere in the world, and we need to share our resources and our humanness, humanity, with through the arts, through music, through generations, just share the wealth. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So
Well, and in this day and age, we're more connected than ever, but we're more disconnected than ever, right? Like there's so many tools that we can connect with,
Mhm.
but there's more depression, anxiety, and like loneliness in our society now than there ever has been. So
It's
yeah,
time to
it
change that.
yes, 100%. And really the way that I view it is having those person to person connections, right?
Yeah,
Speaking heart to heart rather than pushing my agenda, you pushing your agenda, and us butting heads.
right. That's right. So if
Mhm.
someone is struggling to meet ends, how can they look at building something like for the future?
Yeah, so I think one of the first things that you'd want to do is, if you can speak with a financial representative or someone that can help you. Help is always going to be helpful. uh,
Mhm.
you just want to make sure that it is, someone that's reputable.
Right.
But the first thing you can do is kind of take a snapshot of where you're at right now. See what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. One of the big things with like doing a budget that can be helpful is you can see where the holes in the boat are, where you're overspending or underspending. A lot of times when it comes to savings, that's kind of the category that gets underspent on. Um, but it might even be just maybe you are doing everything right, and then you can at least have that reassurance. You can have that kind of little pat on the back that the things that you're doing are working and that they're going to take you to where you want to be. uh,
Hmm.
yeah, another couple things you can do. You may have to just change some spending habits. I know we all like to eat out and order takeout or order delivery with all the new things, Grubhub, Skip the Dishes, uh, Uber Eats. It's super easy just to finger, what do they call that, finger cooking, where you don't really have to lift a finger. No, I guess you have to lift one, but yeah, it's a lot of changing different habits. I actually made a reel the other day where chicken was on sale, so we bought like 4 or 5 boxes of chicken because we like to eat chicken, and it was a really good price. So if you can freeze things, put it in your freezer. That's always a helpful piece. And yeah, just cut spending where possible. I know subscription plans, a lot of times it's 5, 10, 15 bucks a month, and if you have 5 or 6 subscriptions, that's adding up, $50 to $100 a month just going out the door to watch your favorite TV show or something like that. If you are in a position where those luxury items are achievable, or they fit within the budget, great. I'm not saying you have to go without all luxuries, but if you can find yourself, you know, doing a little bit less of the luxury spending so that you can retire at that 55, 60, whenever it is that you want, that's you have to weigh those goals, right? What is more of a goal? Is it having all of the different subscription services, or is it retiring or buying a house or taking that big dream vacation? If your priority is having luxury items and you don't care if you never retire, then go ahead, buy all the streaming services you want. But yeah, those can definitely add up.
And they can sneak up on people too, especially young people, like playing games and doing all that kind of stuff. It can just, you don't know where you're at. The next thing you know, you're like $100 out a month on gaming,
Yeah,
and you never knew you were going to get there. You don't know
yeah,
where it's all going.
yeah. Well, specifically with gaming,
Mm.
games have become less about building a fun like thing to play and more of a dollar extraction process.
Yeah.
They see their customer base as little gold mines that they can just pick away money out of, right? So
Mhm.
it might be $2 here or $3 here to get the extra power up or new builders or whatever it is. But yeah, those can definitely add up, and there's a lot of psychology that goes behind video
Oh,
game design
goodness,
nowadays,
yes.
just how they can get that money out. Another thing that I always look at, just because I'm a frugal guy or fiscally conservative or however you want to phrase it, is everything is negotiable, right? If you have
Mm.
a phone bill that seems too high, just ask your carrier if there's anything that they can do, or maybe look at a different carrier, right? I know here we've got pretty much the two companies you can get it from, Telus or Rogers, and there are a whole bunch of like sub retailers that sell it for cheaper. So like we personally go with one of those other retailers. I pay like 30 or 40 bucks a month for my cell phone bills. I know people that are paying over $100 for their cell phone. And often they're financing their cell phone at the same time. You don't need the newest of the new phones. I know a lot of people feel like they do, but really, like our phones are already so advanced that I don't think I could tell the difference between an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 11 or whatever they're on now. So
what are some of the major pitfalls people should avoid when it comes to their finances? I think you've mentioned a few.
Yeah,
We can mention a few more.
a couple of them. Well, one of the first ones is just seek knowledge first, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't understand something you're going to be investing in or buying, probably not the best thing to buy it, right? If you hear about this new computer or something and I'll go back to the phone example. If you hear about this new phone and it's got all these fancy features and you use your phone for taking an occasional picture, checking Facebook, and making phone calls, you probably don't need the biggest and brightest and newest, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of turmoil in the financial industry. So people are like, well, I'm going to hop out of the traditional facets for investing, and I'm going to go into cryptocurrencies. Or I heard GameStop was doing really good, so I'm going to buy GameStop. I actually had a bunch of clients that were like, should I buy GameStop? And my first question is, well, why are you buying GameStop? Why would you buy that? And they were like, well, because I heard it's going up. Well, why would it go up? What is the reasoning? And at the end of the day, it was this whole background, like shortstop thing that we're not going to get into here. But if you don't understand the reason why something's doing well, probably doesn't make sense to buy it. If you don't understand the underlying technology behind something, probably not the best thing to buy. The thing that a lot of like institutional investors and Warren Buffett and all these guys have talked about is invest in what you know, right? If you've been in the oil and gas industry all your life and you see trends in the oil and gas industry, investing in an oil and gas company might make more sense than investing in something that you have no idea about, right? Especially, I know everyone loves the hot stock tip, but typically when the information filters down through all the different channels and then you hear it from your buddy Joe, it's you're probably late to the game. So that would be my first thing. Seek knowledge first. Second thing here is avoiding debt like the plague. There's so many young people that I know that have gotten themselves into loads of debt and didn't even understand what debt really was. They're like, I've got a card that magically lets me spend money and I just get money magically from nowhere. And it's like, no, you're going to have to pay that back, and you're going to have to pay it back at a huge rate. I had one client that had, just a couple $100 sitting on a credit card. And she's like, I want to invest some money. And it's like, well, you have debts. You're paying 20% to service that debt. To get that kind of rate on your investments, it's possible, but it's not as likely as a 100% chance of paying it through your debts. So I always say reduce your debts first. That's pretty much your number one thing. Other than having some sort of emergency fund, it's always you want to have something in case stuff hits the fan.
Yeah, I think people are going to want to know if there's programs for people with disabilities and autism out there.
Yeah, so I know for here in Canada, there are different federal and provincial programs. So for like children with disabilities, there's family support for children with disabilities. So it's commonly known as FSCD. If once they age out of that, once they're over 18, then they can turn it into persons with developmental disabilities, or PDD. Here in Alberta, we have a program called AISH, which is just an income support for the severely handicapped. So those are all really great programs. And then one of the more federally mandated programs is something called the Disability Tax Credit and the Registered Disability Savings Plan. So those are actually kind of one of my specialties there is helping people apply for and get the disability tax credit and that savings plan. So it is more of a long-term savings plan, but you get money from the federal government to help that grow faster. So I can't really speak to the rest. but yeah, there are definitely programs here in Canada. And I'm certain that there's programs, in the United States, Mexico, a lot of different places.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. And do you know how people with autism and neurodiversity can learn about managing their money at an early age? I know that's a tough one, but I think, like, I don't know if there is any type of program where they can learn, or basically people need to learn how to manage their money early on.
Yeah, so I know in certain municipalities there are tax clinics
Mhm.
that will help people do their taxes and understand their taxes. Typically, that's one of the hardest things for people to understand. Uh,
Mhm.
when it comes to some of the more universal things like budgeting, like just financial management, insurances, investments, all of those things. Again, I would say there's just a multitude of resources online. So with the nonprofit I work with, we've actually got a couple different speakers that will come out and do presentations
Right.
on those different topics: budgeting, income sources, just management in general, insurance, all of those different things.
Great. What are some of the most important financial products someone can look at getting?
Yeah, so some of the most important financial products, really, I know it may seem like something that's only for the wealthy or anything like that, but life insurance. If you have one primary breadwinner for the house and you were, put in a bad position and they were to pass, now your family is making no income, and not even that, you'd have to pay for their funeral, pay for those final expenses, right? So it can really put people in a bad spot financially. I always think of your financial house as a literal house, right? So you've got your insurances at the bottom level; they're your foundation. You want to make sure you have a strong foundation within that financial house, because you could have some great investments over here. You can have long-term investments and savings and a mortgage and a house and all these things. But if it's not built on a proper foundation of insurance, whether it be life insurance, disability insurance, critical illness insurance, if you don't have that proper foundation, then really the rest of it is going to fall apart immediately if something bad happens. So that's always kind of my number one. I know there's one guy online, Dave Ramsey. He's got his 5 baby steps, and he talks about having insurance, having an emergency fund. So these would kind of be my baby steps, right? Having insurance, having an emergency fund in case something were to go wrong. Because if you start investing the little bit of money that you have and something happens, you're going to have to pull out of those investments right away. And if those investments, the big thing with investments, I said it earlier, it's not timing the market, it's timing in the market. If, like we saw in the last 3 years, the markets have taken severe drops twice, which is a pretty quick market cycle. But if they drop and you have to get access to that money, you've locked in those losses, right? The only time you actually lose money in investing is when you pull the money out, because over time the investments will grow again. And that's on a general basis, right? If you buy stocks in one company and that company goes under, then it's not like it's just going to come back up. But if you look at the market as a whole, if you're buying like mutual funds or segregated funds, or buying indexes like the S&P 500, that those will in time recuperate, right? So life insurance, investments, or life insurance, then you'd want to be looking at that emergency fund, and then looking into investments or long-term savings vehicles.
So yeah, I bet that must be horrible if something happens, like to a younger family or something, and they don't have their ducks in a row.
Oh, it's terrible. Well, and the thing is, especially when it comes to insurance, an ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure, right? You can pay $20 or $30 a month in a term policy to get, sometimes even less than that if it's a young person, to get, a couple $100,000 worth of insurance, right? If something happens, yes, you can't replace that individual, but you have something there that can help with some of the financial
Yeah,
burdens.
alleviate some of the burdens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. So, and I guess it comes down to also with people that are in they're older, it's harder to get that too, much harder.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that, like, there's kind of like two
Art
things
young.
that are hard with the financial planning industry, and one is um talking to people that have kind of passed that hump where it's like, look, I know you want insurance, but it's just not, like, it's not financially feasible at this point. Or making the phone call when someone is claiming on that insurance, because that's a conversation you never want to have. But it is the reason why we got into this, and why we make sure that people are properly protected.
I know you have stories to tell, like, yeah, but anyway.
Yeah. Do you
So,
want to hear a story? Is that
yeah, yeah. Do you have any stories to share?
well, so I have one. It was actually the first insurance claim that I ever paid out. Uh,
Mhm.
so there is something called like an insurance tax shelter where you can buy a universal or a whole life policy. This is a permanent insurance policy that has a cash value associated with it.
Mhm.
So a lot of times people buy these for their kids because the cost of insurance is so low that most of the money going towards this is going into an investment portion for them to use later in life, or just to increase the amount of insurance that's going to get paid out at the end of the day. So I actually set this up with a client for his son, who was about 6 years old at the time. And yeah, we set it up as a savings vehicle that he can take some money out when he gets older, for a house or for a car or anything like that. And it was just last year, his son went into the hospital. There was some complications, and yeah, he texted me the one day just letting me know that he passed. And I I didn't even know what to do. Right? It's one thing when you have someone that's like elderly, that's a little bit more expected, but when a 6-year old passes, it's like I had no words. So I was yeah, it was one of the first claims we paid out, and it still rocks me to my core. Like, I can't imagine. And it paid him out a couple 100,000 for insurance, but really that wasn't the point of setting it up, right?
Yeah, oh my God.
But at least, I guess, like, he had something in place. He didn't have to have a GoFundMe. I've seen so many of those these days. And then he didn't have to go right back to work, right? He's still just trying to figure out his life at this point, but having some money to have in place, he doesn't have to worry about food and shelter, and going right back to work and getting back to the grind. He can take a little bit of time to actually grieve.
Right. That's really, really powerful, powerful story.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really something. Oh, um, so what is something that people can do right now to combat the lack of financial literacy or grow their mindset and belief around finances?
Yeah, well, so you hit it right there with the whole mindset and
Yeah.
belief. I think one of the big things that we can do is, kind of get out of our own way. I understand it can be very, very difficult when you're in, a situation where it seems like there's no way out. You can feel like there's nobody that understands where you're at. You feel like you're never going to amount to anything, or get past that. Just kind of understanding that there are options. There are people that are making thousands of dollars in new niches that weren't even existing last year, right? So like, looking at things with a different perspective can be very helpful. Talking to someone about it, whether it be like a financial person, or even just talking to a friend or family member. Start with learning. You can go online. There's webinars, YouTube pages, different resources. Just take advantage of all the knowledge at your disposal.
Hmm.
Yeah. Another thing you can do is budgeting. I find budgeting to be just really helpful in general, for like I said in the beginning, kind of seeing those holes in the boat, seeing what you're doing well, seeing what things that you can fix, and then just getting on top of that. You can do it just through a simple pen and paper. You can get spreadsheets. There's even apps that will, like, connect to your bank that you can do on your phone, depending on, if you're comfortable with connecting different apps to your bank there. Um,
Hmm.
and then reading books and surrounding yourself with good, positive people.
Mhm.
You are essentially the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you are like what you read, right? The more you take, or like whatever you take in is what you're going to put out, right? It's good in, bad out, or good in, good out, bad out, right? If on a 90% basis you're scrolling social media and listening to the news, the news is primarily negative by design, right? And that kind of goes back with the media, right? The media is going to tell you all the ways that you are not complete without buying their crap. So it's well within their interest to make you feel like crap, so you buy their crap. So my advice would be read books that focus on building your mindset. Read books that focus on positivity. Yes, there are a lot of bad things that happen in the world today. I'm not trying to discredit that. I'm just saying, if you focus on bad things, more bad things will happen. If you focus on good things, more good things will happen. It sounds very woo woo. It sounds like, yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but
You're right.
yeah. Yeah.
You're 100% right. 150% right. I love your attitude. You're amazing.
Well, thank you.
So do you have any other words that you want to share with the audience? Any other, takeaways or
Yeah, I guess one big thing would just be, it doesn't have to be figuring it all out in one day, right? Like, it's just start with something small. Start with small, manageable chunks. I'm sure you've seen the graphic where it's like there's a ladder and it's got all these little rungs, and then there's this ladder where it's got 3 big rungs, and it's like, this is the goal that I want. You're not going to make it in 3 big steps. It's not like you're just going to get really wound up and just really crunch down those knees and just jump for your goal. You got to start with those small steps and just every day, work towards it. If you can get 1% better every day, that's over 400% within a year, right? So yeah, focus on the small incremental wins, and then when you have wins, celebrate those wins. It might be something small. I paid off my credit card. And, there are a lot of people living without credit cards paid off, and there are a lot of people that live with their credit cards paid off. But for you personally, if you paid off your credit card and that's something that you wanted to do, congratulate yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. It might be cause to go out for a nice dinner with the spouse or something like that, as long as you're not, refilling up your credit card. But yeah, celebrate the wins when they happen.
That is beautiful.
Awesome.
And so if I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to want to contact you. And so how would they be able to do that?
Yeah, so the best way to contact me, you can send me an email. I typically check those on a daily basis. Phone, you may or may not be able to get a hold of me. It depends on kind of what's going on during the day. Typically, when I'm on a client meeting, I don't like to break away and get on phone calls. So email is probably going to be the best way. You can go to my website, stephensicoli.com. I do like to add a little bit of like financial tidbits, little bits about, what's going on in my life, in the world, and things like that. And I do have a contact form on there as well. So that would probably be the best way.
Well, thank you so much for being on this show, and we really appreciate all your advice.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Great. Okay. And it's a wrap. Okay.